This video is intended for educational, informational, and entertainment purposes only. Thumbnails are created to catch attention and may not accurately represent the actual content of the video. Content includes opinions and information gathered from public sources, research studies, historical accounts, and community discussions. We do not claim full accuracy. Please verify all information independently. This video does not intend to target, defame, or disrespect any individual, group, or community. I am not a licensed sociologist, therapist, or emergency management professional. The views expressed here are my own and do not constitute professional advice of any kind. This content is meant to spark thoughtful reflection and discussion, not to tell you what is right or wrong. Please watch with an open mind. Thank you for being part of our prepping family. I'm going to tell you something that might surprise you. The single most important prep you can make has nothing to do with food, nothing to do with water, nothing to do with power, medicine, or seeds. It costs nothing to buy. It doesn't expire. You can't store it in a container, and study after study of people who survived major disasters, wars, famines, grid failures, natural disasters, confirms the same thing. The people who survived best weren't the ones with the most supplies. They were the ones with the strongest community. Today I'm going to talk about the prep nobody in the prepper space wants to discuss, because it's uncomfortable, it requires vulnerability, and it can't be ordered online. I'm talking about your neighbors. In 1995, a heat wave struck Chicago. Over 5 days, 739 people died, most of them elderly, most of them living alone. But here's what the research showed afterward. In neighborhoods where people knew each other, where residents checked on their neighbors, where block cultures of mutual support existed, the death rate was dramatically lower. Even when poverty levels and housing quality were identical, the single variable that most correlated with survival wasn't income, it wasn't age, it wasn't even access to air conditioning, it was social connection. The prepper who has 6 months of food and no relationships is, in many scenarios, more vulnerable than the family with 2 weeks of food and strong community ties. Today, I want to talk about building the prep that can't be bought. I understand why this is uncomfortable. The prepper mindset, at its core, is about self-reliance, reducing dependence, knowing that when systems fail, you don't need to depend on anyone else, and there's real value in that mindset, but pure isolation is a fantasy. And a dangerous one. In a prolonged emergency, your needs will exceed your supplies at some point. You will get sick. You will need help you cannot provide for yourself. You will have skills gaps. You will need information you don't have. And the people around you will have exactly what you're missing. Community isn't a weakness in your preparedness plan. It's the multiplier that makes every other prep more powerful. Think about the people within a few blocks of your home. Statistically, among 20 to 30 households, you likely have someone with medical training, someone with mechanical skills, someone who gardens or farms, someone with carpentry or construction knowledge, someone who has lived through serious hardship before and knows how to manage it, someone with communications or technical skills, someone with excess of something you're short on. In a crisis, that informal network becomes an informal economy. Skills and supplies flow between people who know and trust each other. That network only exists if you've built it before the crisis. You don't need to knock on your neighbor's door and announce that you're a prepper. Start simply. Introduce yourself if you haven't. Learn their names. Ask how they're doing. Help when you see an opportunity. Over time, these small interactions build trust, and trust is the foundation of everything else. Block apps like Nextdoor have made neighborhood connection easier than ever. Use them, participate, share useful information, be present. Community events, block parties, neighborhood meetings, local farmers markets are low-pressure environments to meet people and begin building relationships. The goal in the early stages isn't to recruit people to prepping, it's simply to know your neighbors. That's it. Everything else can grow from there. One of the most powerful ways to build community is to be useful. If you know how to can and preserve food, offer a neighbor a jar of something you've made. Generosity creates reciprocity, and reciprocity creates resilience. In a crisis, the person people turn to first is the person who was generous before the crisis. Be that person in your neighborhood, not because you're calculating a return, because it's the right thing to do, and because it builds the kind of community that keeps everyone safer. Here's a practical prep most families skip entirely: a neighborhood communication plan. In a crisis where cell towers are down or overloaded, how do you reach the people around you? Establish a meeting point. Know where your neighbors will gather in an emergency. A specific front yard, a community building, a park. Get contact information for the 5 to 10 households closest to you, not just cell numbers, but a secondary contact or landline if available. Invest in walkie-talkies or GMRS radios for short-range communication. A pair of quality GMRS radios can communicate up to 5 miles in open conditions. Learn your neighbor's vehicles. In a neighborhood emergency, knowing which car belongs to which family helps you quickly assess who is home and who may need help. Here's a reality that lone wolf preppers rarely want to acknowledge. One person or one family cannot maintain security 24 hours a day, indefinitely. Sleep deprivation is incapacitating. One person watching over a supply has a single point of failure. But a community of people who look out for each other, who notice when something is wrong on the street, who communicate, who act collectively, that is genuinely difficult to compromise. Off-screen radio voice, all good. Throughout history, communities that watched out for each other consistently fared better than isolated households, even when the isolated households had more supplies. Your neighborhood, built on trust and relationships before a crisis, becomes a force multiplier for your safety that no amount of individual prep can replicate. If you have children, here's one more powerful reason to invest in community. Children who are surrounded by a known, trusted network of adults during a crisis are dramatically more resilient than those who are isolated. The psychological research on childhood trauma and recovery consistently shows that social support, trusted adults beyond just parents, is one of the most protective factors in a child's ability to process and recover from fear and hardship. Your neighbor, who knows your child's name, the family down the street that your kids play with, these are not just social conveniences. In a hard situation, they are part of your child's safety net. Here's your action step, and it's the simplest one I've ever given in any video on this channel. This week, introduce yourself to one neighbor you don't know yet. Just one. Just a conversation. Just a name and a handshake. That's it. Because every relationship in your life started with one small moment of connection. Your community starts the same way. The food in your pantry is ready. The water in your storage is ready. The seeds are in your bank. The medical supplies are stocked. Now go meet the person next door. I've been making videos about preparedness for a long time, and the longer I do this, the more I believe that the greatest prep of all isn't a product, it's a principle. The principle that we are stronger together, that the family next door isn't a threat to your supplies. They potential member of your resilience network, that the world we're preparing for is one we'll navigate together, not alone. The world is changing quietly, and the people who are building community, quietly, generously, one relationship at a time, those are the people I want to be surrounded by when it does. I hope you're one of them. Stay safe, keep prepping, and I'll see you in the next video.